Hey, this is the last man to ever pin Mitch Valentine, the Chico Lopez. And why don't you slice right into this next episode of Mitch Please.
Mitch Please, since 2016. Flying with angels, dancing with devils, caught in between a saint and a rebel. Trying to live my best life, go into it like a WWF fight. And the fans are screaming, they got my back like I'm Willie beaming. Let's go. So beam me up, Scotty, kicking down doors like I know karate. I got the fuego like Mojave, getting high is my hobby. Mitch Please, since 2016. Podcast so ill it might catch a body. Can't no one harm me. It would take more than the army to stop Mitch Valentine from doing what he gotta do. He stays on his grind. R.I.P. Joe Rogan. Y'all better know that we coming. We ain't ever running. So turn up the sound and keep it 100. Keep it 100. Mitch Valentine, keep it 100. Keep it 100. Mitch Please podcast, keep it 100. Mad skills. Yeah, hashtag make dreams happen. Pro Championship Entertainment. At Heartbreaker MV. At PCE since 2015. Yeah, follow your dreams, y'all. Mitch Please, since 2016.
We are definitely not done. Welcome to episode 31 of Mitch Please. You thought you got rid of me? You thought I was going away? You thought I wouldn't be back? Well, you thought wrong, because we are back. My name is Mitch Valentine, and I want to show some love to the starving artist Dupre for that epic, amazing custom intro song. I've listened to it 31 times in honor of episode 31 here today. And also much love to Chico Lopez for that intro. Much love to every single person that is listening right now, whether you are a returning listener or this is the first show that you've ever listened to. I really, really appreciate it. I just want to say right off the bat, we have every single episode of Mitch Please now on CastBox. So if you're listening on CastBox, thank you. Shout out to Eric Griffiths for giving me the lowdown on CastBox. I really like the app. I listen to all my podcasts on CastBox now. And of course, we're here live. We're here doing it at youtube.com/TheMitchValentine. So thank you for listening on that platform. If that's what you're doing, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share all that. This is all that. Oh yeah, I'll bust out in song, guys. I don't know if you know that, but now you do. If you don't know, now you know. I don't know if you can tell, but I am very, very excited to be back here with you on Mitch Please. We've got a hell of a show lined up. We've got episode 1's returning guest, Mike Shoop. He's back. He's finally back to tell his whole story. I'm not going to take too much of your time because we do go for quite a bit talking about Mike Shoop and his story and everything that makes him who he is. But I just want to update you guys a little bit on what I've been doing these last 10 months because it's been 10 months. I said I was done, guys. I was burnt out of doing this show, and I took a leave of absence. I thought I might never even do this again, but you know, you can never say never. And I'm back. These last 10 months have been pretty slammed, pretty crazy, pretty chaotic. Last time I spoke with you guys here, I was getting ready for my big return to Pro Championship Wrestling, and That was very short-lived. If you don't know the story, I think I'll give you the story on a future episode. I'm not going to break down in detail everything that happened that night yet. Like I said, we got a jam-packed show with Mike Shoop, and that's what I want to focus on today. But I did wrestle for 30 to 40 minutes in that Rumble, and I was concussed, and I will go into detail about that again down the line, but that was my last match as well. So I took 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days out of the ring to have one more match, and I haven't wrestled since. But what I have been doing is I've been doing a lot of stand-up comedy. I've really shifted my focus into stand-up comedy. I ran 5 shows out in Paradise at the Whitewater Saloon. I've now since cut ties with the Whitewater Saloon, and I'm moving on. I want to tell you guys about everything I have going on in stand-up comedy. I'm real excited to share all these events that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be sharing those with you after we cut over to this interview. Right now, we're doing it. We're cutting over to Mike Shoop. Alright, we started this thing in 2016, episode 1. Here we are, back, episode 31. It's only right that I bring back my first ever guest on Mitch Please, making his return. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to do it right this time. Welcome, Mike Shoop.
What's up, Mitch? Thanks for having me for finally to tell my story.
Dude, you've been on this you've been on this show more than anybody, man. We've done a lot, but we really haven't ever told your story, and that's what we're going to do today, man. So thanks for coming on the show. Yeah. We have a lot to talk about, man. Let's just start at the very beginning. Where are you from, Michael?
I am from the gorgeous town of Paradise, California. I was born and raised Magalia, Paradise. Not much to do out there. You know that.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, you actually went to Paradise High School, and you actually went there for all 4 years. I got kicked out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You went there all 4 years, man. And before we talk about that, like at an early age, growing up as a kid, man, what were some of the things that you were into?
Oh man, I was into wrestling, but I wasn't like super into wrestling. Like it was something cool to watch with my dad when I'd visit him in Sacramento. But I didn't have cable growing up, so Ninja Turtles was like the number one thing.
Oh yeah. Favorite Ninja Turtle? Who was it?
Leonardo.
Dude, check this out. You know.
Yeah.
Right there. We're in the Mitch Please office, aka my '93 Honda, and we got Leonardo right here. We got Roman Reigns right here. But yeah, dude, no, I love Leonardo, bro, because he's the leader, right? He's the voice of reason. Plus, he had the badass swords.
Right. You can't go wrong with the katanas, and I hear the new ones they're making Raphael the leader, which is ridiculous, but that's another story for another time.
Are they coming out with a new Ninja Turtle movie, number 3?
No, I think it's just a new cartoon, but they're making Raphael the leader.
Dude, I think they should make another Ninja Turtle movie, like the new Ninja Turtle movies. They had the last one with Sheamus and stuff, and I thought it was good. I like them, but yeah, I don't feel like they've really nailed Leo at all in the movies. And yeah, kind of Raphael is they don't really nail him either. I like what they do with Mikey and Donnie though.
Yeah, they've always nailed Mikey. I feel like they've always nailed Donnie, especially in the original movies.
The original movies, yeah. Did you watch those? Obviously?
Yeah. My dad took us to see the original one way back in the day, but in theaters. That's how old I am.
Shout out to Steve Shoop. Much love.
Yeah.
And you also grew up with 2 brothers and a sister, right?
I grew up with 2 brothers. My sister lived with my dad, so I saw her when my dad would pick us up for like vacations and stuff, and like Christmases and Thanksgivings and all that. So, but yeah, it was basically me and my 2 brothers, just kind of playing in the canyons over by the old Manatee Circle.
Oh yeah, live there as well.
Yeah.
We know these stories, but a lot of these people don't. So we're gonna tell you guys all our little secrets here today on Mitch Please. But like no man, how was that like growing up with two brothers? Because like I was an only child, so I never can relate to people growing up with siblings at all. What was it like for you? They were both younger than you.
Yeah, they were both younger, so they always wanted to be around me, and I was in that stage where I just wanted to be by myself. I was like, these are my friends. You go find your own friends. And now,
what a jerk.
Yeah, I was a dick. Now both my younger brothers kind of hang out with each other more, and I'm like I got my wife, so that's good. But no, yeah, we're super close. All of us are super close now, and we were super close then too. But yeah, we had lots of fun playing with the neighbor kids. We had hide and seek for hours at night, and I could never understand why I was always found so quick until much later when I realized, oh, I used to wear LA lights. So every time you step, the lights would go off, and oh, look, blinking red lights.
You would wear those Lucian Delights. Yeah, no. So yeah, shout out to Sean and Justin. I'm sure they won't mind being mentioned on the show. And what else, man? Like, let's talk about your love for pro wrestling, because I know we've got a lot of people listening that are fans of your wrestling. And when did it all start for you, man? What caught your eye, and how did it all begin?
Hulk Hogan caught my eye right off the bat. I mean, you didn't even have to be a wrestling fan. You knew who Hulk Hogan was, and I loved. I was one of the few people that loved his movies, loved Suburban Commando, loved Mr. Nanny. But like I said, I only got to watch like the mainstream stuff when I'd go to my dad's house. Then there was, I think it was Superstars on Saturdays after like cartoons, and it was just like a bunch of jobbers like wrestling. But like my favorite, like I remember my first favorite wrestler was a guy named the Phantom. And he wore a mask, and he always lost. And I actually read an article not too long ago that I found out that was Gangrel.
Oh, shout out to Gangrel, man. Yeah. Great guy. You've wrestled Gangrel, too.
Which was
really
cool.
Yeah. Talk about going full circle.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so the Phantom was my first favorite, and then I would play like the Royal Rumble games on like Sega and all that, and Shawn Michaels was like a favorite of mine just because he was a smaller guy. And I wasn't like I was into it, but I wasn't like, this is what I want to do, because at the time I was like, oh man, these guys are massive, like I would die. And
because you're a smaller guy. I mean, everyone considers you a pretty small guy now. No, I know you're in the gym busting your ass all the time, right. But people always say, oh, Shoop's a small guy, whatever. But how small were you, bro, when you were in, junior high or whenever you started watching wrestling? How small were you then?
Oh my God. Well, just to paint a picture for you, when I had my first shot to go into kindergarten, they had to put it in my leg, because when they gave me the shot in the arm, it hit my bone. That's how scrawny I was. But around that time, I was like, I don't know. I was 4'9" until the end of my freshman year of high school.
Damn.
So I was short, and I would always get made fun of because I was so short. People thought that I was like younger than I was. I mean, people still think I'm younger than I am, but which I don't mind now. Now it's a blessing. But yeah, I was super small, and I remember in like,
how much you weighing? 4'9". What was the weight?
Oh man, so 4'9", 105 pounds, maybe.
Just to compare, bro. So this is time going to high school. You're 4'9", 100 and what?
Like 5, maybe 110.
110 pounds, dude. I was 6 foot 220. Just crazy, right?
Yeah, it's insane. But, and but I remember my first thought, my first memory of like thinking about being a wrestler was I was like in 5th grade or something, and the NWO had just happened, and my buddy Jason was into wrestling more than I was, and he was into WCW, and he comes up to me and he's like, Mike, we have to become pro wrestlers. We have to save the WCW from the NWO. And I remember thinking, those guys are huge. You're insane. We'll die. Like, there's no way I will ever be a pro wrestler. Like, get that out of your mind right now. And it's funny because years later now I've been doing it for 14 years and
And Jason is now the co-owner of Game Cave in Paradise, a Pro Championship Entertainment sponsor, believe it or not. So shout out to them. But yeah, man, so NWO 96, that was what got you going, huh?
Yeah, that one. And then I moved to my dad's when I was in 8th grade, I believe. And I started watching wrestling more mainstream. Like I was watching it every week. I was a WCW guy at first because I heard about this Goldberg guy, and I was like, oh, I want to see what he's all about, undefeated. And so I was more into WCW for a long time, and then like I started flipping through the channel like when something was going on in WCW that I wasn't into, mainly cruiserweights. I'm a self-hating cruiserweight. Couldn't stand the cruiserweight.
Not even the WCW cruiserweights, huh? And they were solid, bro. It's Jericho, Mysterio, Guerrero.
I know.
What was wrong with you?
I don't know. I was into heavyweights, man. Like I wanted to when I first started thinking about being a wrestler, I was like, I want to do spears and I want to do power bombs, and it's like no, I had to realize real quick that wasn't happening. But yeah, I would flip back and forth like a lot of us would do in the Monday Night War era, and I started getting more into like the storylines of the WWF. And I remember the first major storyline I was really into was Ken Shamrock versus The Undertaker. It was the Ministry versus the Corporation, and I don't know why, I just was drawn to Shamrock. And like I started like mimicking his like intensity and stuff like in the mirror, and I think that's I think personally that I have one of the best faces in wrestling, as in like I could put on any kind of face, and I think I owe a lot of that to my junior high days of just doing it in the mirror all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's just, I don't totally disagree with you, really. I think I have a good face, but your face is great. And I think that it's one of the most important things in wrestling, and I think that as we get into that, we can talk more about that, but Shamrock was your guy, huh? Shamrock and Goldberg, yeah?
Yeah. Now I'll watch, when I watch some of their old stuff, I'm just like, God, what was I thinking? Like, I don't know. Just, I really liked Shamrock's intensity. I still think, like, his intensity is still unmatched. I mean, Kurt Angle is up there in intensity, too. But, man, I just loved how he would just snap at the drop of a hat. And it was just cool. And I love the Corporation. Corporation's still my favorite stable of all time. Like, everyone's like, oh, no, what about Evolution or DX or The Shield, and like yeah, but the Corporation was...
Now, which version? Because there was lots of... I felt like... I didn't start watching really till 2000, but I go back and watch everything, and I've seen a lot of the Corporation stuff, but like, are you talking Undertaker, Corporation? Are you talking the corporate ministry? Are you talking Vince McMahon's... what are we talking about?
So, I was a big fan of the corporate ministry, because I love the Ministry of Darkness, and I love the Corporation, so when it came together, it was awesome. But I was a huge Vince McMahon fan. Yeah, huge Vince McMahon fan, and it's because I would go watch the pay-per-views at my cousin's house, and both of my cousins were huge Stone Cold fans. Mm-hmm. And me being a Goldberg fan, I hated Stone Cold. So every time Vince would screw Austin, I loved it. For a while, like, if you asked me my favorite wrestler, I would say Vince McMahon.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when he won the Rumble...
That explains a lot.
When he won the Rumble, I was ecstatic. My cousins were just like, what the hell? Well, what's going on here? I'm like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It was fun. But yeah, I liked the early Corporation with Shamrock and Boss Man and Vince and Shane, and Test was kind of near the end of that, but all those guys, man, like, I don't know, I just really liked the attitude, and plus they were all trying to screw Austin, so.
Right, man. And we could sit here and talk about the Attitude Era all day long. We could talk about all our favorite memories, but I do want to get into your wrestling career. So before we do that, what is your favorite? I know it's hard to pick a favorite, but what is, besides the things you've already mentioned, what are maybe a storyline or a situation or a match as a fan before you got in the business?
Okay.
That was maybe one of your more memorable moments as a fan.
Oh man,
Put you on the spot.
yeah, I know.
That's what I do. That's how we do it on Mitch Please.
It wasn't like technically sound or anything, but one that always comes to mind was Jeff Hardy and RVD at Invasion for the hardcore title.
That wasn't the ladder match.
No,
that ladder match was SummerSlam. That was their first match.
Yeah.
I remember that. Okay.
And which is funny because I wasn't too big of a fan of either one. Like, I was more of a Matt Hardy fan than a Jeff Hardy fan. I liked RVD, but I don't know, just something about that match, it really stood out to me. It really I don't know, it set apart. Like, if you want to talk like technical, I don't know, anything with Jericho.
Yeah, and and Jericho is the man.
Yeah.
But you brought up Matt Hardy. I'm surprised you didn't mention like the version 1 character, because you are a big Matt Hardy fan. I've seen that. We've all seen the picture on your Facebook and your MySpace of you and Matt Hardy, and the picture of you at like 15 or 17 or 25, whatever. You look the same the whole time.
Yeah, I was actually in the business at that time. So.
All right, well, let's talk about the business, man. Tell us a story. I know it involves Brian Cage. That's how you started. So tell us how that all started.
So, at this time, I was a crazy big John Cena mark. Like, Thugonomics through and through.
Word life.
Word life. And I'm a huge movie buff. So, I went to the movies with my wife at the time, and I was decked out head to toe in John Cena merchandise. I'm talking the headband, the wristband, the t-shirt. I'm shocked I didn't bring my homemade padlock and chain.
This is like 04?
This was 04. Yeah. And go and buy a ticket for a movie. Don't remember what I saw, but the guy selling me a ticket in the ticket booth was none other than Brian Cage. And he's like, "Oh, what's up, John Cena?" And he's like, "I got a wrestling show here in Chico if you want to check it out." And he gave me a flyer. And I didn't know anything like that was around here. Like, my plan was to wait for my girlfriend at the time to graduate high school, and then I was going to move to Southern California and enroll in UPW. I think it was Ultimate Pro Wrestling or something like that. Yeah. It's where John Cena got his start, The Miz got his start,
Samoa Joe was in there,
Joe, Victoria, a bunch of people. And I was like, well, that's in California, and that's the closest thing to me, and look at all these guys that have made it. Frankie Kazarian was another one.
Yep.
But I didn't know anything like that around here was a thing. And so I went, and...
You went to the show?
I went to the show, yeah.
Where was it at?
It was the famous Warner Street Stadium on 2nd and Warner. It was in a backyard, but they had a ring, and I was just like, oh my God, this is like, there's a ring here? Like, it just blew my mind.
How many people?
Fans?
Yeah.
Probably like 35, 40, but I mean, there's also like, it was on a busy road, so like, there'd be like people driving by and they would stop and block traffic and be watching it, and some of them would park and get out because it was a free show because it was in a backyard.
That's how MWF started, right?
Yeah. Well, I believe MWF started like on a trampoline or something, and then Brian found someone that, like a welder, that could make a ring, and he had like plans for a ring, and then they made the ring and started wrestling, and that's where I got my start. And I went up to Brian because that's the only guy I knew because of the movies, and I asked like if they train or if like, can I get in on this? And he's like, yeah, we train on this day and this day. It's this much money, blah 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 blah. I started doing it, and I realized real quick, I was like, oh my God, this hurts.
Well, yeah, so take me through that, because this is your first day of training. Brian was self-trained at the time, right?
Yeah.
But he was training you guys.
I think he had like a little bit of training from Canyon. Like he knew Canyon from like he wrote a report or something, and Canyon saw it, and Canyon flew him out to Florida, and like they hung out for a little bit or whatever. I might be getting it wrong, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure like Canyon like showed him the basics, and so yeah, but pretty much self-trained. And
then he was training you guys. And how many on your first day of training, how many people were there training with Brian?
Let's see, it was myself, Chico Lopez was there.
That son of a...
Yeah, I know.
No, he's the last person to ever pin me, so I've got some unfinished business with him. Great guy, great wrestler though. Yeah. Great wrestler. But yeah, so back then he was just starting.
Yeah, he was. Well, actually, I guess he started like in Stockton out with Rick Luxury or something when Rick was going by a different name, but
Crichton Downing.
Yeah. And but yeah, there was a few of us there, and I remember like the first hour, like we had to shift the ring from like 2 inches because it was like not in the right spot or something. So like the first hour of my training was just moving a ring, and then like I got in the ring, and I remember he showed me how to bump and everything, and I bumped, but I didn't breathe out, and I didn't yell. Well, I guess I would be breathing out. I remember I tucked my chin. I remember, because watching the first season of Tough Enough, you have to tuck your chin. That's how I know, and like so I tucked my chin and everything. So I didn't hit my head, but I only got through like a couple bumps because
couldn't breathe.
It just hurt so bad, and like
the actual bumping on your back, or the breathing.
It was probably the breathing. Now that I think about it, but because I wasn't breathing out really, but like I got through like the rope bumps, and then like he would have us do like headstand bumps before the handspring bumps.
Right, okay.
And I think I got to handspring bump, and then that was it. Like I saw the flip bumps, and like I was terrified of that because I don't flip. And I was just like, well, if I land on my neck, I'm done before I get started. So I was like, oh, I think I'm good. Or I think Brian was like, I think you're good for the day.
Dude, that's crazy because AJ put me through my first day, and literally the same thing, because I wasn't breathing out right or something. I got to handspring bump. I don't think I started flipping yet.
Right.
Maybe snap or something, but I didn't flip.
Yeah.
Beal bump, which I think anyways. But yeah, same deal, dude. Like, I couldn't breathe, and AJ's like, yeah, I think you should take a break. And how frustrating is that, right? Your first day, you couldn't even get through all the progressions. You're not even locked up. You're just the basic progressions is what they're called in wrestling. Rolls, bumps, and we couldn't even get through. Me or you couldn't get through either one of them. Like, how frustrated were you? And what was your next step?
I was pretty frustrated, and I remember my back just tensed up, and like I couldn't move my neck for like 3 days. Because like the pain was just so bad. Like every time I moved my neck, pain would shoot down my spine, and I was just like, oh man, can I do this? I don't know if I could do this. Like if I can't even get through some bumps, how am I supposed to get through a match?
Yeah.
And
felt the same way.
And yeah, I was pretty frustrated, but I came back and I kept coming back, and I was like really shy at the time, and like so I didn't talk.
Yeah.
And turns out that was the right move, because I was always watching and listening, and like I wasn't interrupting people. And there was a guy that started the same day as me, Casey Sanders, and he was the complete opposite. Like he showed up in like a Rock T-shirt, and he was like, I'm gonna be like the Rock, and he was like talking, and I think he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way right off the bat, and
still does.
Yeah, still does. But I just kept coming back, and after a while, Brian's just like, well, don't worry about paying me anymore. Just put it into yourself. Put it in your gear. Go get a gym membership. I mean, I was working out at the Paradise High Gym because I was cool with the weight training coach, but I wasn't really doing anything like intense or I didn't have a routine or anything. And at this time I was still like only like maybe 120 pounds.
And I want to go back just real quick because I forgot. I wanted to talk a little bit about what you did at Paradise High, man. Did you played football and you did wrestling?
So I did sign up for football. Unfortunately, I signed up my senior year, and that was the first time I tried football.
Not a smart move.
No, and so I would have been on the bench the whole season anyway, and I remember, like, I held the pad for somebody, like, my first practice, and he got me, and I backflipped out of it, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I don't think football is the right thing for me. And so I stuck with wrestling. I did wrestling all 4 years.
Nice. And that helped you with your training with Brian, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Because there was a lot of amateur stuff that we would do, and you could tell the people that had a wrestling background versus the people that hadn't. And I definitely think that I was one of the few that kind of stood out in that aspect. But yeah, I that's kind of the extent of my athleticism.
Well, and how long were you training with Brian before he would put you on the illustrious, like a Warner Street Stadium, or was he still doing that for a while? Because I know he started moving to other venues in Chico.
So I had my first match. I was under a mask, and I went under the moniker of Mean Mike Zimmerman. I didn't come up with the name. Apparently, Mike Zimmerman was a guy that worked at Lowe's that they knew, and I wore like a shark mask or a mean face. I don't remember, but the mask was way too big for me. So every time I would get hit, the mask would like slide around my face, and I couldn't see. But I wrestled. Yeah. I've
never heard this story. This is hilarious.
I wrestled their top heel at the time, a guy named Joey Scales, and it was a Halloween show, so he dressed like Brian Cage because he was feuding with Brian. And so he hit all of Brian's moves on me, like I completely, it was a total squash and like everything. And then he came out and he went to the back and he came back out with Joey Scales gear and then finished me as Joey Scales. And I think I had one more match there with Casey, both of us under masks, and it was awful. It was.
What was his mask name?
It was. Oh man, what was it? It was McGriddle Sanchez. No, L douchebag McGriddle Sanchez.
Oh, that fits him.
Yeah, and I remember
versus Mean Mike Zimmerman.
And the first move, he whipped me off the ropes, and I was supposed to duck it, and I didn't duck it, and he threw like this line that went over my head, and I bumped it.
Oh, wow.
And everybody was just like, oh no. I guess people started to leave, like, this is because it was a dark match. It was the first match that people were seeing.
And where was this at the...
It was at Warner Street Stadium,
okay.
Yeah. And so the other wrestlers were like walking around like the audience would be like, oh, don't leave, I promise it gets better. So that was like, it was embarrassing. But then after that, the person who had the house like rented it out or was going to rent it out or something, and we ended up getting a deal with Mr. Lucky's, which was a bar here. It's now the
Lost on Main.
Lost on Main, yeah. And we got a deal with them, and so that was our first like actual venue.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that's when I debuted the Mike Omega character.
Yeah. So tell us about the Mike Omega character, because I remember. Way back in the day, in like 06, when I first started training, I saw you on there, Mike Omega from Magalia, and I saw the pictures and the videos, and it was like an MMA character, and that's how I met you, you know, in 07 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the character you were really serious about, and that's how you were presenting yourself. And how did that come about, and how did that go for you?
So I was trying to think of a name. And I knew I wanted my first name because I didn't want to like people call me like some name that wasn't my name in the back in the locker room. I don't know why. I just didn't. And like you said, I was a huge like version 1 Matt Hardy guy, and I knew his company was named Omega. I was like, well, that's kind of a cool name. And I remember I was making like just characters on one of the SmackDown versus Raw or SmackDown Just Bring It or whatever, and I was like, I had a bunch of characters. I had like Mike Icon and like Shoop Dog, and then I had Mike Omega, and I was like, oh, it could be like a Matt Hardy like sidekick, like Omega version 1 Omega series or something like that. And I was like, oh, Mike Omega, that sounds pretty cool. So I decided to use that name, and yeah, it was a MMA thing. I think that just came across because I had a really hard time learning punches, and I was like, well, if I wear the MMA gloves, I could punch people for real, and it's not going to hurt them. So I started wearing these 8-ounce big red and black MMA gloves, and I came out to a song Ken Shamrock came out to in the UFC one time.
I was gonna say the Mike Omega seems like you're inspired by Matt Hardy's Omega and Ken Shamrock.
Yeah, definitely. Because I knew I wanted to be a submission guy like Shamrock, and unfortunately, because I was so small, nobody took me seriously. Nobody took it seriously. I would do my ankle lock finish that I did, and nobody would like really sell it, or if they would sell it, they would get to the ropes, and like it was bad. And like we had a live commentary at the MWF shows, and at this point I think it was like we were doing it at the Veterans Hall, and I just remember like people just like the live commentary just cracking jokes on me, like, oh, look how small Mikey Omega. They would call me Mikey Omega, which I hated. But I was like, whatever, I rolled with it. But it bugged me because there were like 2 or 3 other people that were smaller than me.
Right.
Like I was small, but I had muscle. And then there's these other guys that were taken seriously, but were thinner than I was. So, but yeah, the Mike Omega character it was my first rendition of what I wanted to do. I did that from 2004, 2005 to 2010.
Yeah.
And
well, hold on, before we get to 2010. So, I mean, MWF, man, I know they would go around, they would do Cowskate, they do the Veterans Hall, they would do Off the Wall Soccer, and of course the illustrious Warner Street Stadium. Yes. They would actually be the place where AJ Kirsch had his first match.
Yep.
And Brian would end up training with PCW and Zach and Oliver John and maybe Schizo, and start to really get his fundamentals, under control, or I don't know, that's not the right word, but he'd get his fundamentals from those guys, and he'd start to become a better wrestler, get booked more, and then shortly after that, it seemed like MWF would go away.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite memories, matches, moments, people from your MWF days?
It just seemed like a family. Like, there was no BS. There wasn't any drama. It was like we would go to the shows and we would have fun and we would have a good time, and everybody wanted to help each other. And sadly, a lot of wrestling nowadays isn't like that. Everybody's looking out for themselves, which, I mean, I get it. You wanna be the top guy and whatever, but it's definitely something I miss. My favorite memory in MWF was probably when I had my first win, and it was versus Brian.
Yeah.
And it was cool. It was a cool experience, and like I don't know, without going into too much detail, I just got like a snicker win, and like he was just like, what, and it was cool. The fans couldn't believe it, and it was cool. And
so no big deal. You went 1-on-1 with the current, Impact Wrestling X Division champion, and you beat him clean.
Yeah.
Roll up, whatever.
No big deal.
No big deal. Which I always laugh at stuff like that, because it's like, well, wait, so he's the X Division champ, so he beat this guy, so you actually beat AJ Styles, wait, because he was an X Division champ, so you actually somehow are in the league of AJ Styles because you beat the X Division champion. And anyways, okay,
right,
I can go.
Impact Wrestling, if you're listening.
Yeah, man. Let's set that rematch up, Impact Wrestling. X Division title, Brian Cage versus Mike Showtime Shoop one more time. I'd pay to see that.
Yeah, but yeah, MWF was definitely fun. It was. I'm happy that that's where I got my start. A lot of people are like, "Oh, well, you started the wrong way. You didn't enroll into a legit wrestling school," and it's like, yeah, I didn't, but I believe that everything that I learned from there on helped me graduate the work farm quicker. But like after MWF, because Brian got signed to Deep South Wrestling,
Yeah.
and he was training over there, so MWF it just wasn't a thing anymore. So I was kind of on my own, and pretty much everybody else in MWF was like, well, I'm done. Like, I was just doing this for fun. Now I'm not going to pursue it. I know I'm not going to make it a career. But I was like, oh no, this is just the start. So I got on the old MySpace and started messaging promoters and tried to put myself over to them. And some people would allow me to come on out. Others would be like, oh, we don't book yarders. Go get trained, kid. Which one of those people were Sean Gunn. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, go F yourself, Gunn. Which is funny because now me and Gunn are super cool. But
you go to some places. Like, I know you did a lot of stuff in Clear Lake, Lake County, probably Sacramento.
Yeah, I did. I worked for this real piece of work named Rob Wilds in Sacramento, and then Clear Lake was near the end of it. I think my last company before I decided to go legit was TWF in Sacramento, and that was fun. They had a crazy fan base. Like, it was insane. They had it was like an ECW feel fan base.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
But yeah, it was fun. But it got to the point where like I wasn't getting booked with PCW or SPW or APW or any of these like places that I was going to get noticed.
Right.
And I knew that if I was going to get anywhere, I had to enroll into a wrestling school. And I knew that I was going to have to go legit. Even though I was having fun with what I was doing, this was like, I think 6 years into my career, I was just like, I have to do something.
Might as well. You came this far.
Right.
We all have our different paths that we take, man. And that's just, and you went your way, and I went my way, and this person went that way, and that person went this way, and that's just the way it goes, and it's whatever. So, before we talk about your training with Pro Championship Wrestling, which we actually covered a lot of it on the first episode of Mitch Please.
Right.
So if you guys want to hear about Shoop's first, his first, he only trained for 6 months and you had your first match with PCW with me, and we go into detail about that on the first episode, our first match. Before we talk about your career going forward from there, what were some of the injuries you had? Because I remember you had a seizure or something in one of those shows, and so was that what happened? What were some of the notable injuries you had before you started training with PCW?
So I only had one injury that whole time, and
the seizure.
The seizure, yeah. It was out in Weed, California, for a company called Bulls Creek Wrestling, and I was in a tournament, and in the first round, I had thrown my opponent out of the ring, and I decided that I was going to, while standing on the apron, springboard off the bottom rope, turn in midair, land on the guy's shoulders, and hit a hurricanrana. Well, I'm not coordinated. So I tried it, and I made the turn, but the way I landed was my calves landed on the guy's shoulders. So when I went down, I hit the back of my head on the gym floor. I was knocked out instantly. And in the video, you see the guy, he doesn't know what to do, so he just picks me up and he power bombs me on the gym floor.
Worst thing. Could you do anything worse?
Yeah, right. And as he's picking me up, you can see my right arm stiff and kind of going in a clockwise like circular motion.
Yeah.
And so when he slams me, my entire body goes stiff, and I start having a seizure.
Jesus.
And everyone's going nuts. Like, you hear someone go, "Oh my God, call 911!" And they did. They called 911, and I remember there's a story of Chico talking to someone in the back, and the promoter runs. He's like, "Mike's hurt," and him and the guy look at each other and like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever." But yeah, I woke up, and there was a bunch of people around me, and I don't know why I asked it, but I asked, "Did I win?" And yeah, and I tried to get up, and the promoter's dad actually, he like shoved me back down, and he's like, "No, stay down," and like the EMTs got there, and they put me on a stretcher and took me in an ambulance, and I took the ride to Mount Shasta to the hospital, and they did a bunch of, I guess I was slipping in and out of small comas on the way to the hospital is what they told me. So it was really important for me to stay awake and conscious, and I couldn't. I kept falling asleep, and I woke up in the CAT scan machine with like the voice talking to me, and I was like, "Oh my God, what happened? Did I die?"
Yeah.
But then I woke up in the bed, and they put me in a neck brace that I had to wear for a couple weeks.
What did they diagnose you with?
Head trauma, slight concussion. The seizure happened because of the concussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a severe I mean, that's not severe, but pretty severe concussion. I mean.
Yeah. I've never seen
any seizure.
No, I've never seen it. So.
No, me either.
But yeah, that's the only injury that I've had in from 2004 to 2010. I've had injuries since, but yeah, that was my that was probably my worst one, like, as far as unconscious goes.
Yeah, and that's pretty lucky, too, to not have any other injuries with working with guys that weren't trained,
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Exactly. It was always a fear, like, especially, like, in the later years where, like, I kind of felt like I knew what I was doing, but then I would see other guys wrestle and be like, this guy's not ready. What is this guy doing in the ring? And apparently, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that might have thought the same about me, but I know that I never injured anybody.
Yeah.
So
there you go. And then you would go on, man, and like we talked about in episode 1, we would train together and just learn together and vibe together and do a lot of things together. Yep. And we had a great time, I thought, man. I really enjoyed the start of our official in-ring, official NorCal trained wrestling careers. Because I also did a couple matches before I felt I was trained and should have been in the ring too, Right. But I felt like when I wrestled you in our first, November 6, 2010, Cal Skate and Chico, man, I felt like, all right, here we're both here. We've both done some stuff, whatever, don't matter. We're here now. Everybody better take notice, and we're gonna do this thing, and we did, and we went all over, right? We went to Sacramento, we went to Reno, we went to Clear Lake, we went to Modesto. We wrestled each other in a lot of places, and I think the record is 3-3-2. So 3 wins for you, 3 wins for me, and 2 no decisions. So something to settle right there. But let's talk about some other guys that you worked with, because you worked with me for a minute. It was like we worked for like 6 months. We trained for 6 months, then we wrestled for 6 months. And I remember your first big break, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was the Young Lions Cup for All Pro Wrestling in 2011.
Yeah, I did. I was in the Young Lions Cup. Johnny LaRocca, who was booking for APW at the time, contacted me and said he wanted me to represent PCW in the Young Lions Cup, and I was like, well, yeah, that sounds amazing, because I had never worked APW at the time, and in that tournament it was like the first round was a tag team thing, and if your team won, then you would wrestle your tag partner. I was eliminated in the first round, so I didn't have like a storybook finish or anything, but it was fun. It was a cool experience, and up until Will Roberts represented PCW, I was the only PCW representative for the Young Lions Cup to that time.
And how cool is that? Because you had those guys, I'll say it, those guys at All Pro Wrestling, didn't have a very high opinion of you. They definitely didn't have a high opinion of me, but they didn't have a very high opinion of you up until that point because you were considered a backyard wrestler and all that stuff. But then how gratifying was that to have them contact you and say, hey, we want you to come to our company and wrestle for us and represent another great company, well-respected company in PCW, man. That would be a good feeling.
Yeah, I was super ecstatic. I was happy. Like, it kind of felt like I had made it to that point. And no, it was cool. I was really it was kind of like a proud feeling. And I haven't worked APW much since, but I'm accepting bookings.
Oh yeah. So
no, go for it.
I was just going to say, so from there you broke your arm. No, because you did. You were at SPW and Paul Isadora Gorilla pressed you to the outside. A certain somebody, from my viewpoint, didn't catch you. Mm-hmm. I'm saying this. And you broke your arm on your landing. And, dude, 6 months in about, right? You wrestled me. We were having a good little storyline going. We were wrestling all over. You were in the Young Lions Cup. And then you broke your arm, dude. How was that?
It was unreal for me because I had never really broken anything. I was like, it's not broken. It's not like it's silly. That's silly. It's not broken. And it wasn't until I went to take my because it hurt when I landed. I was like, oh man, that hurt. Okay, well whatever. But the adrenaline was pumping, so I didn't feel anything. And then I got to the back and I went to take my knee pad off and I straightened my arm and I was just like, oh my god, what was that? And so, but I still didn't think it was broken. And then when I went to the ER and they're like, yeah, it's broken. But I was just like, oh no. And my first thought was like, but extreme measures, because we were supposed to wrestle for...
That's a big blow off.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just done with that at all. I took my anger out on somebody else that night. It wasn't you.
No.
It was, it was what it was, man. It was devastating. And I was devastated for you, because not only because we were going to wrestle, but it was like, damn, dude, you just got moving here. You just got grooving and now boom, setback. But you really were only out for what, a couple months?
Yeah, I was only out for maybe 2 or 3 months. And then I kind of had to build my way back up. And like, I remember I wrestled a couple matches against Fanga, who was undefeated at the time, so that was cool. And then I wrestled.
You started teaming. You teamed with Brian, actually. That was our first show at the Off the Wall Soccer Arena for PCW. It was me and Venice DeMarco against you and Brian Cage. First off the chain, and that was an experience.
Yeah. I think we beat you guys. Where's my tag title shot?
Well, yeah, you would go on and you would get your tag title shot. Actually, let's talk about that. All right. Let's fast forward a little bit, 2012, and talk about your tag title shot. We well, first, gosh, dude, we only have so much time and we have so much to talk about. I'm thinking about maybe making this a 2-parter and bringing you back down the line, but let's see how far we can get here. All right. Let's talk about Kimmy.
Oh, okay. What do you want to talk about Kimmy about?
Well, I mean, she's your wife.
She is.
How'd that happen?
All right, so met her at the work farm. I remember when she pulled up, I was like, oh yeah, she's cute, but I'm married and
she's 17.
She's 17, yeah. And that I guess that should have been the first thing I said, but. No, yeah, she, and we were training partners, and at first I didn't really think of her much in any other way than just a friend and a training partner. Come to find out, she had a crush on me right from the get-go, and she's like, oh, well, he's married, so, he's off limits, can't do anything.
I love what she said on this show when she says when she first met you, she thought you were gay.
Yeah. She thought me and Zach were gay lovers because the first thing she heard was, I mean, if anybody that knows Zach's gonna talk like this. And so me and Zach were talking like this to each other. And she's like, "Are they gay? I think they're either bi or gay or they're lovers or something." And yeah, that was a funny thing to find out.
Yeah, and we had Kimmy on the show, you know, and she told her story, and she was a hard-working trainee, man, for a lot of years before she finally got her big break. And you and her, right around this time, I feel maybe a couple months after her big break, that's when you guys became an item.
We became an item in August of
2012. I gotcha.
Thanks. God. 2012.
You're welcome, Kimmy. I gotcha.
2012. It just kind of happened, man. Like we were hanging out at the college, and my marriage at the time was in shambles, and she was just there as a good friend, and we were friends for 3 years before we dated, and I think that's helped a lot.
Yeah.
She's my best friend, and I love being around her every single second. A lot of married people are like, "Oh, well, it's better to not be around your spouse for all day long." But me and her can do it, and we've been doing it for years, even when people trying to break us up.
Yeah, man. And she is the reason you got your tag title shot, man. Let's talk about the tag title shot. She beat me in a singles match thanks to you and Chico cheating, and you guys got your tag team titles. And how about you and Chico, man? How about that dynamic there? Because you guys started in MWF together, and then boom, we got the Live in the Dream contest. You bring him in for that. He doesn't win it, but he stays with it, and he gets on the show quicker than just about anybody. Yeah. I think he still holds that record.
5 months, right?
Yeah, something like that, 4 or 5 months, and he gets on the show, and then you guys start teaming, and the Chico Hammers are born. You throw Kimmy with you guys, and I thought you guys were one of the funnest is, I don't know if that's a word, but one of the more fun, like, young up and coming, because you were, even though y'all been around and y'all, you know, but you guys were up and coming, young, fun, babyface trio, man. I never thought you guys reached your full potential.
I don't either. When I think about it, when I see these tag teams traveling everywhere, it really bums me out because I really feel like we could have went everywhere, and we could have been the Chico Hammers everywhere. And I mean, we did. We wrestled Brino and Modesto,
Sacramento,
but I feel like we could have went so much further as the Chico Hammers. And but yeah, we won the tag titles, and 45 minutes later, we lost the tag titles. Still hold that record.
That's definitely a record. But you guys would go on to feud. You know what I mean? And it would be, gosh, it was later on that year off the chain, actually. You guys had a singles match. Kimmy as a ref. Again, I thought that was a Hammer versus Hammer, a really fun match. Mm-hmm. How did you like working with Chico Lopez as a tag partner and as an opponent?
I love working with Chico in any kind of format. Like, as a tag partner, I feel like he pushes me. Like, he knows my potential, and he pushes me to, like, what are you doing this for? You're better than that. Go do it this way. And like, it's just, he pushes me. And as an opponent, I always feel like we have one of the best matches on the show. Like, I love working with Chico. Chico is one of my first matches ever back in MWF, and after that, I was just like, oh my God, the chemistry we have is insane. And yeah, man, I mean, he's doing his thing right now. I'm doing my thing right now, but like, I'm always down for to work with Chico in the ring.
Oh yeah, no, he brings out the best in people, man. I agree with that as well. And you guys would feud, man. It was a great feud. I enjoyed it. All the different things that were happening. He became the Inter-California champion, and then you cashed in your briefcase, and you became the Inter-California champion. And how did that feel? That was your first major singles title in Northern California independent wrestling. Like, how was that night for you?
It was awesome. I even right before it happened, I was like, it's not gonna happen. Something's gonna change. It ain't gonna happen. Like, nothing is set in stone in wrestling until it actually happens. And I remember going down there, like my music hitting as soon as he won, and I remember he was already hurt. Like, he busted his ankle pretty bad in the match with James Haight, and so he couldn't really walk. And so I cashed in on him, and I hit him with the Shooper driver, and 1, 2, 3, I was the Inter California champion, and it was surreal. It was crazy. And at that time I was doing the Shoop Troop thing with Lee Profetto and Propane, and which was, those promos were money.
Oh yeah, some of the most entertaining promos in PCW history, bro. I'll put them up there. I thought they were great. They were so original with the reality television aspect you guys did. A lot of credit goes probably to Lee for that, and you as well. You guys are both good on the video editing. But I want to back up just a hair, even though we are getting short on time. We got to talk about the Superplex, man. I'll never forget our first main event at the Municipal Auditorium. You weren't even supposed to be in it. Will Rude was supposed to be in it, but I'm really glad that you ended up being my tag team partner that night, and we wrestled Primetime and Luxury for the tag titles, tables, ladders, and chairs. I'll share my side. Was the story was Zach was we didn't really talk about anything. The only thing that was really mentioned was the Superplex, because
5 minutes before we went out.
Yeah, and he wanted to do it to me. He's like, all right, Mitch, we'll get you on that ladder and I'll superplex you off the top. And I go, will ya? Because I don't think that's happening, because I'm bigger than you and I ain't getting up that high. I said, but what was your, did I offer you up for that, or did you offer yourself?
No, I believe you did.
What a gentleman.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest moments in PC. It was one of the most death-defying moments in PCW, man.
It's one of those things that I'm glad I did, but I will never ever do again. I remember. I'm gonna back up a little bit. I was super thrilled to team with you because everyone knew our feud, and the fact that I had turned heel, and then I think it was kind of like, well, it's only a matter of time before Mitch and Shoop team up.
Yeah.
And it was super cool. I felt like it was kind of a full circle thing. But yeah, I remember in the back, we didn't really talk much about anything, which was kind of nerve-wracking for me, because I think that was around the first time that we had really done that, where nothing had been talked about.
Nothing, and it's the main event. And it's our first main event.
First main event.
At the auditorium.
First main event. I had been in one ladder match before that, where I won the Breakout Star briefcase. And I remember it was either you or Rick came up to me and was like, so Zach's going to superplex you off the ladder. And I said, huh? What? They're like, oh no, you'll be fine. And I walked up to Zach and I was like, you're going to do what to me? And he's like, oh, superplex. I'll take care of you. You'll be fine. And he'll tell the story a little differently, but I get up there, and we're battling each other on the top of the ladder, and I do whisper to him, do we have to do this? And he's like, yeah. And so he punches me and he grabs me for the superplex, and he's like, all right, 1, 2, 3, and he goes to lift me. He tells it as I'm refusing to go. That's not what happened. My trunks got caught on the corner of the ladder. So if he would have kept lifting, it would rip my tights right off my body. So I was like, wait. And so we battle some more, and I'm like, all right, go. And he's 1, 2, 3, go. And I have not fallen so long in my entire life. I remember seeing the Municipal Auditorium ceiling just get smaller and smaller and smaller. And when I landed, fun fact, I actually thought I was going to poop myself. It was coming. And at that point, my ribs hurt, my back hurt. I didn't care. I'm just like, whatever, the match is almost over. I'm just going to let it go. And when I decided to just let it go, it prairie dogged back in. So, thank God. But Yeah, and then we finished the match, and I had a nice little shiner because Rick hit me with one of the tag titles, and I grabbed the other tag title, and fell off the ladder through the table. And
we became the co-tag team champion. That's still so confusing because you and Rick became the tag champs, but then me and you were the tag champs, but then Zach and Rick were the tag champs.
Yeah.
But it was great though because we came right back with a cage match the next month, and that was probably definitely my first cage match. Your first cage match as well.
My first. I was excited for it, but. Those were some physical matches. Zach beat the shit out of me.
Oh yeah, no, especially the TLC. I thought what happened was we went out there and we did get our asses handed to us, and then but we were ready when it came to the cage match. Yep. We were like, all right, that ain't happening again, and we went out there and dished out a little bit as well, and yeah, man, and then you'd go on to do a singles run with the IC title with Chico, and then you did. That's when you really started working a lot of different characters all over the place because you had Shellhammer, you had crazy Shoop Shellhammer, you had the Canadian Shoop Shellhammer, and take me through that, man. Going through all these different promotions, doing all these different characters.
Yeah, so the crazy one, I really liked the crazy one, and that came from me losing the Inter California title to Chico, and I would call the title she's wrapped around his waist. When he would cut a promo, I would rebuttal with, how can she not have mentioned me? Like, she didn't even look like she missed me. Like, it was good. And
my favorite was you and the cat food.
Yeah, Shoop's Shoot. It's on YouTube as Shoop's Shoot.
Eating the cat food, bro. It was the great. I just was like, wow, because I just love because you are kind of crazy, right? Like we're all crazy.
Yeah.
But like when you embrace your crazy and you turn the volume up on your crazy and you let it out the way you do, to me, watching you do that is entertaining. But then now, watching you as Showtime is also entertaining.
Right.
You know, coming out with sunglasses and dancing. I don't know where you got that from.
I don't know.
It's good stuff, though. I like it a lot. But what about your Canadian character? What's the background on that?
The Canadian one, I have family in Canada, or so I say. No, I do. I have family in Canada, and I always dug the Canadian characters like Lance Storm and I love the Hart family stuff, and it was just so cool, especially the Lance Storm stuff, in WCW when he had the Team Canada, and then TNA with Team Canada. I love Petey Williams. Like, it is just amazing. Like, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that somewhere, and I got to do that at Fighting Spirit Pro, and also GGP, and it was just, I don't know, it was just really fun to me. Like, I love the FSP one because every match I had before, I would make everybody rise for the playing of the Canadian national anthem, and it was fun. And like, I don't know, it's one of those things that anyone can really do, but it's kind of outplayed at this point in wrestling, so I don't really do it too much anymore. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the crazy thing, especially because the crazy thing, like, that was, at that point, there wasn't any other crazy character in PCW. It was just me. And now you got like JJ and Hardesty and Kimmy and like a lot of them. I mean, they're all putting their own twist to it, but I was the first.
So, what was some of your favorite? Because you traveled probably a lot more than I did. Really, we traveled a lot together, but I think you probably worked more promotions and stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, what were some of your favorite like road stories and road memories? Being out there, going for it, man, going for broke, going to these shows, going to these promotions, and doing your thing. What were some of your favorite memories?
Man, a lot of my favorite memories are traveling with you, actually. Like, it was always I know. No, it was fun. Like, now I'm just kind of, I like traveling, and I've been doing it so long that a 3-hour drive isn't that bad anymore like it used to be, but it's hard to find a good crew. Like, I travel with Kimmy, and me and Kimmy have a blast, and sometimes it's just me and Kimmy, and that's fine. But I always love traveling with Zach. Zach's a riot to ride with. Back when I used to ride with Lee and JJ, that was fun. Will Roberts and Coop was fun.
Coop.
Yeah, Coop.
Much love to Coop.
Yeah, like I've had a lot of luck when it comes to road trips and good road buddies. Probably my favorite was probably when we went to Stockton Con.
Oh,
Stockton Con
was awesome.
Amazing. It was great. I rode with, it was just me, Kimmy, and Lee riding there, but when we got there is when like the real party started. Like it was my first con I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And it was I had a blast. It was so much fun.
Oh, me too, dude. That was one of the... It was so fun because there was like 9 of us in a hotel room. We wrestled on Saturday. Then 9 of us go to a hotel room. We watched the DJ Riz Memorial Show together. Yeah. Then we woke up the next day and I think we worked out or whatever. Then we went to the show and wrestled again. And then we all went to the Mick Foley, stand-up thing he was doing, storytelling thing he was doing, and there was so much PCW guys there, man. I felt like that was, we all huddled up and just said, man, we need to make sure we thank our trainers for this, and this is an awesome thing that we were all able to share together, man. That was one of my favorite times too.
It was fun. I think it was so fun because there was no drama. Like, everybody just came together. We were all, like, it didn't even matter, like, what company you were a part of. Like, we were all coming together. And it was...
We weren't drinking.
Yeah, we weren't drinking. Maybe that's what it was.
That might have been it.
Maybe that's the secret.
I'm telling you, recently I found out that might be the secret. But for me, personally, anyways. But, yeah, man. I mean, God, so many good times, dude. And we're running short on time. We're going to have to talk about what everybody is probably waiting for us to talk about. And that's what you've been doing lately. And like we said, man, your Mike Showtime Shoop now. You got the sunglasses on. You're getting to let out your arrogant, cocky side that maybe you didn't let out before. Mm-hmm. And you kind of put yourself in the main event, which I love. Tell us that story.
All right, so first I got to back up and say the Mike Showtime Shoop thing happened because the Shoop Shellhammer name is just kind of cartoony. Let's just call it what it is. But Mike Showtime Shoop was a brainchild of me and Zach Reeb, and I had joined Zach at the time, and blah 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 blah. Fast forward, so extreme. I came back from the Army, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I was doing the whole like Merrick crazy thing, and it was okay, but I wasn't really feeling it. And I was just like, man, maybe I should do the Showtime thing again. Maybe I should give it a go one more time. And like I kind of got everybody's opinions on it and everything, and everyone's like, yeah, Showtime. I think Showtime's where it's at. And I was like, okay, so Extreme Measures happened, and I had probably the worst match of my career since me and Mike Zimmerman versus El Douchebag McGriddle Sanchez.
At the illustrious Warner Street Stadium.
Yes, it was awful. It was so bad. All of us, like, none of us planned anything. We were just there. Like, I was thinking of like future stuff at the time, because I was in talks with like future storylines, and like I was like, it's a ladder match, so it'll be fun. And I've been in like ladder matches before. I don't have anything to worry about. I was kind of cocky about it, and it showed. And the match was dog shit. It was awful. It was horrible. And I wasn't put in a match at the next Work Farm Wars. Nobody had a direction for me. I remember talking to Rick, like, well, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do with me? And we didn't know. We're like, oh, well, maybe we could do this. Maybe do the Pink Dragon thing again. I don't know. And then we came up with the whole Shoop Troop reunion, because Propane had just won the title. We're like, okay, well, I'm crazy. Let's do a Shoop Troop reunion. So I'd made a video We had like the screen up for Work Farm Wars, and we did that, and a promo, and it was a killer promo.
Yeah.
Like, everything was good. Next show, did a promo with Chico. Started talking to Chico about how I deserve the number 1 contendership, not him, because if it wasn't for me, he wouldn't even be in PCW.
Right.
I deserve it. Killer promo. Still no match. Pandemonium came around, had no promo, so they decided to let me do commentary for the main event with Chico and Propane. Well,
Who were you doing commentary with?
AGB.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but it was probably good. So I'm doing a commentary. People are like flicking my head, and like, they just hate me, man. Those people hate me, which is fine because I'm not a big fan of Oroville either. So no, but so they're flicking me, and I see Maple get up onto the ring apron, Maple Gramps, who's been accompanying Propane to the ring, and you got no business up there, Maple. So I put my headset down, I grab her leg, I say, get down. She's not coming down, she's not getting down, she's being stubborn, and Chico moves up the last second, and Propane snow plows right through her, and I let go, and she flies off that apron and goes right through the table. At that point, everyone's like, oh, Shoop did it. I was just like, oh, I didn't do anything. That's Propane. Tried to congratulate Propane for it, and he didn't want to hear anything about that, so I'm like, whatever. So he at the next Work Farm Wars, he wants to fight me. So finally have my first match since Extreme Measures.
Okay.
Finally.
One-on-one with Propane.
One-on-one with Propane for the PCW
for the
Championship.
Title.
Yes.
There you go.
And Sin comes out as special referee. So we do our thing. Propane beats the crap out of me because, I mean, the size difference is... Plus, I think he probably had, like... He was, like, cheating or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
well, Maple was on the outside, right? Was she?
No, he sent her to the back,
okay.
Which is probably a good thing because she'd probably go through another table.
Yeah.
But, so then I hit Sin with the Shooper driver. Or I get some offense, hit him. Propane, or Sin doesn't...
But you hit Sin with the Shooper driver?
No, sorry, I hit Propane, sorry. I hit Propane with it.
And Sin's the ref.
Sin counts super slow. Propane kicks out. I get mad. I kind of put my hands on Sin a little bit. Sin punches me or does something. I don't remember. And I win via DQ because of outside interference.
Okay.
Because the ref put his hands on me. To me, I feel at that point I'm the uncrowned PCW champion, so I take the title.
Stole it.
I guess if I borrowed it.
People weren't looking. Security had their back turned. The timekeeper wasn't looking. You grabbed that title. You stole it. You walked off.
I walked off.
Gotcha. Well, possession is 9/10 of the law.
Right. And then bunch of stuff happens. Propane gets it back. I wrestle Sin at the next Work Farm Wars.
Well, let's start. You were cutting some promos with that title, man. That I watched, and I thought those were fun. They were entertaining, and so now here you are. You know, you're kind of come back from the army. Nothing's really happening for you, and now here you go. You're cutting promos with the PCW Championship.
I like to say that I single-handedly threw myself in the main event.
Yeah. I
did it. Nobody wanted me there. Nobody was giving me the opportunity. The only opportunity I was given, go out here and cut this promo, just so you can be on the show, just so you can do something. I put myself there because of my promo skills, and
then you wrestled Sin,
and then I wrestled Sin, and Propane came out and whacked me with a chair, so I won via DQ. So technically, I hold a win over Sin.
You've beat the champion and the challenger.
I've beat the number one contender and the champion in back to back work farm wars.
Yeah. So you should be.
I should be in
the championship match,
yes.
which you were.
I was,
and it was off the chain.
Yes.
And it went down just a few weeks ago, really.
Mm-hmm.
And
I still got a scar.
I see that, man, and I was there, and I.
Oh, I know. One of the cameramen zoomed in on you. In the audience.
Nice, did they? Awesome. I didn't know that. But no, I actually had a good time. I showed up towards the end because I wanted to see your match. I wanted to see you in the main event for the title and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, and it was really violent. And a lot of kids were crying. I actually had my girls' kids with me. I had to take them outside. I had to watch the rest of your match on Facebook later. I mean, take us through it, man. I mean, it was one of the most violent matches in PCW history, and you went out there and proved, I thought, that not only did you belong in the main event, but you took more punishment than anybody would probably take. You proved how tough you are, and you stole a show. That's my opinion.
Spotlight stealer.
So, what on your end of things, man? You went through everything. You took the light bulbs and the thumbtacks and the tables and
all without a shirt.
Take me through it, man. What was going through your head?
It was a nerve-wracking situation. Because I was expecting a cage match, and then I got on the phone with the athletic commission and told them, no, it's illegal cage match, not sanctioned. So the cage didn't happen.
Right.
And then that's when I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be a normal triple threat match now.
Yeah.
You know?
But you got to think these guys are going to team up on you.
Yeah.
And they did.
They did right from the get-go, because snitches get stitches, apparently, or they should have.
Yeah.
I didn't get a stitch on that scar, but on my shoulder, but I probably should have. So, Sin comes out with his trash can of goodies, and I'm wearing my flap jacket because I kind of figured something was going to happen.
Right.
And they ripped that off me, but they Houdini'd my tank top right off my body.
Right.
They ripped it right off my chest, and right from the get-go, trash can to the head, kendo sticks to the back, which I had welts for days. God.
Light tube, man.
Light tubes,
What do the light tubes feel like?
So at one point, I grabbed a light tube thinking, I have to do something drastic. I've never used a light tube. I've never used thumbtacks. I've used a kendo stick once or twice, but I've never done anything like that. And I remember thinking, I gotta do something drastic. I gotta do something major to put these guys down. So I grabbed the light tube. I noticed Sin's not looking, so I put the light tube against his forehead and I headbutt the light tube.
Right.
If you go back and watch the highlight video, he's not even affected by that.
Well, yeah,
but
he's the Nightmare Sin.
Yeah. It affected me though. Like I'm bleeding.
What did the light tube feel like? Because you also got hit in the back before that, right? With the light tube, or hit the chest?
So there was the chest. So that was the first one, which busted me open a little bit, and it hurt. It felt like glass.
Yeah.
Exploding.
Because I would never, I've thought about thumbtacks. I would maybe do thumbtacks. But I was like, I would never do the light tubes because of all the chemicals and the glass of getting your skin and maybe causing infection. And, I mean, dude, what did it feel like, dude? There's lots of people that haven't been hit with light tubes. We'd like to know how that feels. It sucks, right?
It's not fun. Like, you hear an explosion, you can feel the explosion.
Yeah.
And, so then I went through the thumbtacks. I tried to hit him with the Shooper driver into the thumbtacks, thinking that would put him down, and instead he basically back suplexed me, but he launched me into the air. And, oh man, that
so many thumbtacks.
Yeah, I've never felt more like Randy Orton in my life.
Dude, I thought Randy Orton and Edge's thumbtack bumps didn't compare to yours. Honestly, that's high praise because you had more thumbtacks stuck in you, and just your reaction after you hit those thumbtacks. To me, I was just like, wow, this is just insanity, man. And then the rolling senton in the corner with the light tubes.
With the light tubes on my chest. Yeah, I was kind of out of it from the thumbtacks at that point, and like I kind of was like trying to knock the cobwebs out. Like I remember light tubes on my chest, but I was just so out of it. And then when he did the rolling senton in it, I remember seeing him come at me, and all I could do is close my eyes.
Oh yeah.
And because I know that they have like those chemicals in those light tubes, and I don't want that stuff in my eyes. Yeah. So I closed my eyes just real quick, like try to just brace the best I could for it. And if you look at it, my entire chest is just bleeding at that point. It's busted open. There's glass all stuck in my chest. I now have a scar on my left shoulder because of it.
Hey, I got a scar on my right shoulder.
Oh, well.
Shoulder scar buds.
We're twinsies.
And usually yours is bigger than mine, but mine's it's bigger than yours for once. That's nice.
It is.
So and then you take the table bumps, dude, with the light tubes on the table, and you get pinned and you lose the match.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, man, after everything you've been through, main event, title, everything was right there, and they beat the ever living shit out of you, if I can say that.
I'd say.
And you took everything they had, man.
I did.
But what's next for Mike Showtime Shoop?
Well, I don't want to give it away. So, if you want to know, as well as everybody else listening, to your dozens and dozens of listeners.
Hopefully hundreds.
Hopefully. Work Farm Wars, PCW, November 17th. I will be making an announcement. And if you are smart, you'll be there, because this is a career-changing announcement.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sorry, but I just can't give it to you here. It's not happening.
It's all right, man. All right. If they want to see what's next for Mike Showtime Shoop, they got to show up. PCW Work Farm Wars, November 17th. Pay your $10. Be one of the lucky people in that work farm to see what's next, man. I'm looking forward to it. And as far as Mike Shoop goes, where can people find more out about you on the social media?
So you can find me on Facebook at, oh God, what is it now? I think it's facebook.com/anti-cruiserweight. You can find me on Twitter at anticruiserdf51. You can find me on Snapchat and the Instagram at MikeShoop101. And I believe that's it.
All right. Thank you so much for all your time, brother. Always good catching up with you, hearing your story.
Yeah.
Wish you the best.
Thank you, Mitch. It was fun to finally tell my story. All these people I've been hearing and be like, when's my turn? It's my turn. Episode 31 apparently is my turn. So, thank you.
Well, there you have it. No shame in my game at all. I'm here to promote people that are chasing their dreams. And I know for a fact that Mike Shoop's dream is to become the PCW Heavyweight Wrestling Champion, and I wish him the absolute best in that endeavor. I know a thing or two about being the PCW Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. In fact, I do want to remind you that I never lost that title, and in my mind, you're really not the champion until you beat the champion. So, just want to throw that out there. And I appreciate everyone that is listening to the show. And I also want to let you guys know what I have going on here. I'm real excited to announce, I'm sure you already know if you follow me on Facebook or any of my social media, that tomorrow, November 2nd, Friday, November 2nd, Pro Championship Entertainment stand-up comedy live at the Spirit venue in Oroville. This is real big deal for me because Pro Championship Entertainment started in Oroville through Pro Championship Wrestling, and I've gone on to run PCE events in Chico, PCE events in Paradise, and now here we are. We're returning home to the city that PCE was born in, Oroville, California, the Spirit venue. If you're listening to this the day it drops, it's November 1st. Tomorrow's November 2nd. That is the day of the event. It's only $5 to get in. We've got Sydney Hupp headlining, featuring Don Ashby, Dylan Collins, and Benny Villa. Of course, Mitch Valentine will be your host, and I hope to see everybody at that event. It's going to be a big one. It's our first one in Oroville at the Spirit venue. Doors open at 8. Show starts at 8:30. Adult theme material, no doubt, but all ages are welcome. BYOB. Food and other drinks will be served, and I think I'm going to do a raffle. I'm going to raffle off a PCE t-shirt. So make sure you guys come out for that. Support local entertainment. Always support local entertainment. I'm also real excited to announce that I will be in Sacramento on November 6th at Laughs Unlimited. It's kind of a crazy story. A couple weeks back, I hosted a comedy event at Woody's Brewing in Reading, which is a whole nother story. It was my first time in Reading in almost 3 years, and the first time in Reading since, I hurt my shoulder and basically wrestled my last singles match. But I returned to Reading. I hosted a great comedy show. I had Ellis Rodriguez was the featured act, and what a great guy. First of all, amazing beast of a comic, and then an amazing beast of a guy. And he gave myself and Dylan Collins some really great advice. And then he proceeded to invite us out November 6th in Sacramento to Laughs Unlimited. So that's where we'll be on November 6th. Also, another thing that I've been getting involved with that I haven't elaborated on the show yet, but I'm going to right now, is I just hosted Improv Mania in September. And basically it was really cool because I was able to be the Heartbreaker, which is always a good time. And I was the host of Improv Mania, and it was my first time ever performing at an improv show, and it went really well. And so I will be doing a lot of improv here in the future, including November 25th, Sunday, November 25th, at the Kingmaker Studios right here in Chico, California. I will be a part of Click's improv event on that night. It starts at 7 o'clock, and I believe it's $8 or something like that, $5 to $8. But make sure you guys come out and support that if you like improv. I mean, these guys, I'll tell you what, Matt Taylor, Jeremy Breedlove, and quite a few others are really just killing it over there at the Kingmaker Studios here in Chico, and they put on a great show. They're doing a couple shows a month now. They're doing a class every Monday, a long form, more intense class every Tuesday. So make sure you guys check them out. Chico Live Improv Comedy on Facebook. All right, make sure you check out Pro Championship Entertainment on Facebook. Make sure you like Team Valentine, Got Mitch Marketing, and of course, this podcast, facebook.com/Mitch Please Podcast. You can find every episode and all the information and all the updates in regards to this show. Of course, one more time, I want to say thank you to Eric Griffiths for giving me the information on CastBox. I really love this CastBox app. I encourage you to download it and subscribe to all your favorite podcasts on CastBox, including Mitch Please. And much love to everybody checking us out on YouTube, youtube.com/TheMitchValentine. Please subscribe. Please share, like, comment. I mean, that's the only way this show is going to grow, is if you guys and I appreciate you guys, and I might even love you guys to a degree, but you guys got to share this thing. You have to share this thing. If you want this show to grow, I need you to share these episodes. I need you to, did I say subscribe enough? Subscribe to this already, will ya? Because I need you to, and I would love to make this show bigger and better than it ever was before. So, like I said, if this is your first time listening to this show, welcome. If you've listened before and you're now back listening, thank you. And right now, I think we're going to close this show out. You can find me on all social media at HeartbreakerMV, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, at HeartbreakerMV. And I think right now we're going to kick over to one of my favorite promos from Mike Shoop. Much love to him again for coming on the show. Much love to Dupre for the intro custom theme song. I love that theme song, guys. That's got its own video on my YouTube page. Share that. Show love to Dupre. And show love to Mike Shoop. And follow him on all his social media. And right now, we're going to end this show. We're going to kick it over to my favorite promo that Shoop's ever done. And you'll be able to listen for yourselves. And you can also watch it on the PCW YouTube channel. And, of course, the next time you can see Mike Shoop will be November 17th at PCW Work Farm Wars. Next time you can see me is November 2nd at PCE Stand-Up Comedy at the Spirit Venue. All right, I'm done yakking. I'm done talking. I'm kicking it over to Shoop and his awesome promo. Make dreams happen. Will ya?
Okay. None have mentioned me. How could he not have listened to me? She didn't even look like she missed me. This finally made it in the kitchen, though. I need food. If it wasn't for me, Chico Lopez wouldn't even be in Pro Championship Wrestling. Chico's better than... No, he's not! I made Chico. If it wasn't for me, he'd still be in North Chico, playing video games, while his girlfriend yells at him to clean the house, to get a better job. Chico Lopez, you need to accept my challenge. Chico Lopez, I need her back. I need her back. I need her back. You need to give me Chico. You need Pro Championship Wrestling. You need to give her back to me. What? No. I made the Chico hammers. I'm better. Chico Lopez isn't.